Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, I'm so stupid, I always mess things up, I'll never be good enough? Now imagine saying all of these things to your best friend or to someone you deeply care about. You probably wouldn't, right? But we say these things to ourselves every single day. Why is it so easy to show compassion to others, but so hard to offer the same kindness to ourselves? In this episode of Getting Better Together, we explore a question that almost all of us struggle with. Why do we struggle to be so kind with ourselves? And what would happen if we learned to change that? First of all, we deep dive into understanding the inner critic. Psychologists call this harsh voice inside our head the inner critic. It tells us that we're not doing enough, not good enough, not lovable enough. But where does this voice even come from? Is it protection, a reflection of how we were spoken to while we were growing up? Or maybe just the impossible standards we set for ourselves? Let's ask AI here and see what we learn. So, why do people develop such harsh self talk? What psychological reasons are behind our inner critic? Okay, here we go. Harsh self talk or our inner critic often stems from a mix of psychological, emotional, and developmental experiences. Here are some key reasons behind it. Early childhood experience, critical parenting or caregivers. If a child grows up with criticism, rejection, or conditional love, they internalize those voices. The inner critic mimics how they were spoken to. Fair, right? I mean, while growing up, if you were not given enough love, if you were always criticized for being a certain way or acting a certain way, or always given love on certain conditions, like, what if you behave like this, then this is what you'll get, or if you'll do this, and then this is what we'll do to you. So this is conditioning, and this is what gets installed in your brain. And then when we grow up, we do that to ourselves, that okay, you know what, you're doing this, you're so stupid, you're doing that, you're so stupid, because that's what we're used to hearing. So yeah, it completely makes sense that critical parenting or how our caregivers treat us form a very crucial part of our psychological development. Second is high expectations. Environments that reward perfectionism or achievement over emotional support can lead to self-evaluation. So I mean, there must have been times where we were told that, what, if you score a certain amount, score a certain number, then you'll get a bicycle, or if you score a certain percentage, you'll get the computer, or you'll get that game, or whatever. This high expectation is also a part of conditioning that we go through when we are kids. And when we grow up, we actually do that to ourselves as well. That we feel like we don't deserve something until we actually work for it, or we earn for it, or we prove something which goes beyond our capabilities or ways. And that's when we will actually be able to enjoy what we get, or actually get what we want. So yeah, I mean, setting high expectations when you are a kid becomes a part of your psychological inheritance when you grow up. The second point is survival mechanism. So the inner critic can develop as a protective strategy, a way to avoid rejection, punishment, or failure. It tells us do better, so we stay safe, accepted, or loved. So what this means is that sometimes what happens is that while growing up, you have this fear of rejection, or fear of abandonment, or because there were times when you were not selected for a certain thing, or you were rejected in a group, or you were left alone a couple of times, and that gets installed in our heads. And when we grow up, we keep on criticizing ourselves for certain things and keep on telling ourselves that, what, you're so stupid, you cannot do this, you're so stupid, you cannot do that. So we keep correcting ourselves, or we keep checking up on ourselves before other people tell us. This is our way to keep us on track. And while we may think that it is helping us, it is not really helping us. This is a lot of negative self-talk, which is actually harming your mental processes, and believe it or not, even your bodily processes. I mean, recently a lot of studies have showed that whatever is happening in your mind or in your thoughts is actually affecting your gut. So yeah, this is what is happening. Third point is shame and low self-worth. If someone carries unprocessed shame or believes they're not good enough, the inner critic becomes a voice that reinforces those beliefs, often rooted in trauma or repeated emotional invalidation. So, how sometimes you grow up being told that, what, you're too dark skinned, or what, you're too dumb, or what, I don't think you'll ever be able to pass this test because you just don't have the capability to do it, or other things that people keep telling us. And this is all while growing up. All of this just gets installed in our heads, and then when we are adults, we keep reminding that to ourselves that, what, you maybe don't deserve to, maybe you won't look good no matter what you do, because what, you're not the perfect skin color, you're not the perfect body type, or whatever those standards are that people have defined for perfectionism. Or what, you don't deserve this job because what, you're stupid, and then you don't have the mental capacity or the intelligence to actually work through it or perform. And then you just live in those thoughts, and then you're just very rude to yourself and very harsh to yourself. So That's also one of the reasons. Fourth is perfectionism. What AI says that it's a deep fear of not being perfect or enough can lead to constant self-correction. The inner critic pretends to motivate but often paralyzes inside. So I've studied this somewhere, and I also believe that a lot of times what happens, like in our childhood, we are given love when we are perfect. If you stop crying, then only then I'll talk to you. If you be a good girl or if you be a good guy, only then I'll give you a hug. Do you want a candy? You need to smile, right? So this thought of being perfect just like gets installed in your heads, and you feel like that if you're not doing something perfectly, things will not come your way. You will not get what you want, or you will not get the love or the appreciation or the promotion that you deserve. So that leads to a lot of harshness towards your own self, and you keep pushing your limits even when your body or your mind doesn't allow you to. So yes, one of the reasons is that as well. Then there is social comparison and culture. Societal standards, beauty, success, productivity, media portrayals can amplify self criticism by making us feel we're always falling short. Makes sense. I mean, a lot of times we look at certain influencers on social media, or we look at different people, our colleagues or friends, and then we see that, oh, they're doing so well, and then we're not there yet, we're falling behind, we're falling short. And then we keep on criticizing ourselves by saying that, you know what, I would have been like that only if I had a better skill set, or maybe a better looking skin, or a better body type, or whatever. And then all of this just results to us being extremely hard on ourselves. It is not that we are broken, it's just that we are wired sometimes through experiences, through beliefs, and this harshness, it just feels like that if we are harsh towards ourselves, this will push us towards success. But then when you research on this, when you deep dive and when you understand, it tells you a very different story. That all of this is just conditioning, it's just how you're wired, how you've been brought up. And it is actually just not leading to anything. You can if you choose to be kind to yourself, you will actually start performing better, or start being better in your life, and start accepting yourself the way you are, and loving yourself more and more each day. We will move on to the next section where we talk about what compassion actually means. So, self compassion is not about lowering your standards, it's not about letting yourself off the hook. It's about how you speak to yourself when you're struggling. So, let's ask AI again that can you explain us that what self compassion is and how it offers something to us which is different from self pity or toxic positivity. So let's move on. What AI tells us that self compassion includes mindfulness, it includes self kindness and common humanity. Understanding that struggle is a part of being human. In other words, self compassion is saying to yourself that this is hard and I'm doing the best I can, and I still deserve the love and kindness. So, this is something which a lot of people say daily affirmations, or daily reminders, or daily positive self talk, where you actually take out a few minutes of your day to be kind to yourself, to tell yourself good things, and then get in a better mindset, and then actually go about your day. So, yeah, that is what self compassion is about, being kind to yourself irrespective of the situation. It's not your fault. And if even if it is, you're just a human. You are bound to make mistakes. And it's okay to forgive yourself. It's okay to sit and just remind yourself that, okay, you know what? I am a human. And even if I did not do this perfectly, I can still try. I have the capability. I have all the tools in the world. I have all the power to do this, and I will be able to. So, being more kind to yourself, just how you will be to your best friend or your mom or your loved ones, how you'll motivate them and uplift them when they are not feeling it. You have to do the same thing to yourself as well, because that's where it all begins from. Now we move on to the third section, that why does kindness feel so foreign? If you've spent years, maybe decades, beating yourself up, kindness can feel strange, even uncomfortable. Sometimes we're even afraid that maybe we are too kind to ourselves. We'll become lazy or complacent. So let's ask AI that why do we fear that self-compassion will make us weak or less motivated? Why do we fear that self-compassion makes us? Okay. What AI explains is that research shows that self-compassion actually increases resilience, accountability, and motivation. On those days when you're dressed well, or when you've achieved something, and then you're like, you know what, I was able to do this, or I look so great, or you know what, this outfit suits me so well, or you know what, I was able to complete this task at work and I feel so nice. You just feel so motivated, and you want to like talk about it and do, and just like be out there and do more stuff around it, right? So that's what research also shows, that when you're kind to yourself, when you feel good inside, and then when you're a little forgiving towards yourself, You actually feel so much more motivated to go on and to keep on doing more things and just like perform better, because you know that no matter what happens, you are there for yourself and you are going to not be harsh on yourself and not feel shitty, and you'll be able to sail through it. But the truth is that being kind to yourself doesn't make you weaker, it makes you safer. And when we feel safe, we grow, right? You, in this world, there are a lot of ways and a lot of times that we are put in situations that where we do not feel comfortable, we don't feel safe. And the least that we want to do is that in this whole era of harshness, and we just want to be kind to, we have to be kind to ourselves, because if not us, then who, right? Then who will show us that love? Sure, you have friends, you have people, but then if those words would mean nothing to you if you actually hate on yourself. So that's where you need to actually make a change. You need to love yourself a little more. You need to be kinder to yourself. You need to be more forgiving to yourself. We'll move on to to section 4, where we will see what are the simple ways to practice self compassion. How do we even begin to shift this voice inside? First step will be to pause and notice. When you catch the critic, when you see yourself that, okay, you know what? I am not being nice to myself. You catch yourself saying, God, I'm so stupid. Why did I do this? You have to acknowledge that voice. You just don't fight it. Don't be like, you know what, I cannot talk like this. You need to just notice it. You need to notice the time when you're being harsh to yourself. And then you reframe it. You need to ask yourself, why? What would I say to a friend who would be feeling this way? What would you say to your sibling if they are feeling this way? And then you say that to yourself. Maybe you give them a very positive self-talk. Maybe you give them this, that hey, you know what? It's okay. If it not did not did even if this did not go well, you are capable, and then you will be able to do it again. Give it another try. It's not the end of the world, you know. And then when you say those things to yourself, you actually feel a little calmer, and you want to try this again. And when you do this, when you actually reframe it, you should write this down, because that just gives it so much power when you say it out loud, or when you write it down, or when you just make it real, you know, when you just give it out to the world and give it an existence in the form of words or in the form of some energy. So try writing a note to yourself that, you know what, I believe in myself, and I'm worthy. So let's ask AI that, can AI suggest us some ways in which we can journal? Are there some prompts for building self-compassion? Okay, AI is telling us that we need to write things like, what do I need to hear right now? When you're feeling that way, when you're feeling when you're feeling shitty, when you're feeling low, what is it that you need to hear right now to feel uplifted, to feel motivated, to feel that energy? And what would I say to someone that I love who is going through something similar? When you have these things in your mind, that is when you can actually write what you really want to hear. And then once you hear that and you write it down, and when you say it out loud, that's when you actually start to believe it. And this will not get better in a day or doing it one time. You have to repeat it. Each time you're feeling like you're criticizing yourself, you're being too harsh on yourself, you need to keep writing this again, and just like make your own self motivation handbook, or maybe a voice memo on your phone that you can hear again and again when you're feeling that way. So we'll end this video with a thought that I want you to stay with. This, the journey of being kind to yourself isn't a switch that you flip. It's a practice, a conversation that you need to keep returning to. Next time you catch yourself saying that, you know what, I'm not enough, try asking instead, what would happen if I give myself permission to be a human today? What would go wrong if you made that mistake? What if you just wear that top in you which you do not feel confident in? How would it matter if someone else does not like it? You do it, right? And that's what's most important. We're not here to get it perfect. We're here to get better together. And that's what this series is about. So if this video helped you to reflect, or if this is something that you're working on too, drop a comment below. And I would love to hear that what is one kind thing you can tell yourself today. And do not forget to subscribe for more such conversations. And I will see you in the next one. Remember to be kind and loving to yourself. All love to you. Bye bye.